Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to this great opportunity to hear the Word of God. Some of you are hearing it twice, and some of you are saying, well, you know what? I missed it. You didn't miss it. You're fine. You're absolutely fine. Um, I am going to take my time this morning just to share a couple of things with you guys. For some of you who are, let me make sure that, yeah, okay. For some of you who are joining me for the first time, I want to welcome you today because this is one of the most amazing things that's happening in our multicasting is that I get to do this live streaming with you guys all across social media, all across our television network, Passion Television Network, by the way, on Roku, Amazon, and Apple. And if you're not receiving that live stream right now, you will be, because we're working out all the little bugs. We're squashing them. So I want to give a minute for those of you who are just joining me for the first time to just settle in for a moment. I want to come back and continue the teaching on the covenant of God unleashed. And I shared that with a few of you earlier today, and I want to share it with those of you who have the opportunity to tune in now. And some of the bugs are not really on technology, they're on my end. And just because there are so many steps that you have to take in order to get the live streaming the way it needs to go and multicasting and all that. So I was willing to just go ahead and start doing it as we continue to work all these little pieces out and follow the yellow brick road, right? Follow the steps, and the steps of a good woman are ordered of the Lord. So I welcome you back, all of you who are returning, and I welcome you for the first time, those of you who are newbies here. This is Sunday Morning Experience, and it is an experience. But before we continue, I want to remind you, because if I don't tell you, I won't remember. If I don't tell you now, then I may not remember later. I just want to remind those of you who have been asking about it, our new book, my new book, Our Father's DNA, forward written by Dr. Reuben West, and it is available today, it is available now on Amazon. It is volume 1 of the #1 Bible Companion, and it is a great book to come to terms with who you really are and what God did when he created mankind. Some of you have already heard me say this, that when God created humanity, when God created mankind, he created man in his own image. And he did so that mankind would have this great opportunity to be God in the earth. That's right. That God wanted to be God through you. God wanted to be God through your children. I was doing something this week, and you know how, maybe you don't do this, but I do. I get irritated sometimes when people do cold calling on me, or I'm on the phone with tech support for the longest, sometimes for hours, and I get irritated. And this week, while I'm teaching this, I'm also learning this. And as I was listening to someone try to explain to me this bit of technology, I realized that they did not know, they had not been trained on it themselves. And I'm of the school, you can't give away what you don't possess. So I was about to say something, and I did. I said something that was because it irritated me. Like, can you get me somebody who's been trained in this? And when I said that, I heard the voice of God from within me, because that's where he lives. And he said, that's me you're talking to. I went, oh, that's me you're talking to. Who else can you be talking to? There's only God. Everywhere I look, there's God. I don't have to look up in the trees, and yeah, he's there. But when I see you, I see my Father. Because all humanity was created by divinity. So if you're not a human, then I don't know. But if you are of the human race, then you were created by divinity. So God said, that's me you're talking to. And I had to pull myself back in. Okay, that's God being God through that person, even though they are not aware that God wants them to be more aware of God being God through them. And God being God, He will give you instructions, just as He's given me instructions, even though I've watched the tutorials, the videos, and read some of the articles that made sense to me, and watch videos on it upon videos on how to pull this all together. And so, and because it has to be done from in-house most of the time, and then we have somebody that can control some of the other pieces out, that can be outside. But we're here, and if I have to do it twice on Sundays until we get it right, then great. I'm not sure when boxes pop up, I'm thinking, what is that? I don't like distractions when I'm teaching. But we've been teaching in this series, The Covenant of God Unleashed. And don't forget our Father's DNA, that's there on Amazon. And I want to tell you something. This is the most powerful teaching. And I don't mean the particular title or topic, but I mean the most powerful teaching of awareness of God being God in me. It has pulled me into a place of peace. It has given me joy unspeakable. It has manifested so much through me until I understand what Genesis was all about in the garden. That when God created man to have authority, to have dominion, and to have all the things that God had already placed in the garden. When God did that, He did that because He wanted man to see what it was like to be God. Woo-hoo! He wanted man to see what it was like to be God. And because He wanted man to see what it was like to be God, He made it available. He made the things available that man could partake of and continue to partake of as long as he was aware of who was living inside of him, the image of whom he was created to be. And as long as mankind was aware that he was the image of God, hey, he could pick a fruit and a fruit would immediately grow. There was no lack. Even the psalmist understood that. David said in Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. When you own that, somebody say, own it. Own the shepherd. Own God being your shepherd. Own God being inside of you. Own that. When you own that, you see life through different lenses. You begin to walk in a different space, a different place. You begin to see life through a whole different vantage point from Mount Zion. You begin to see the world around you through different lenses. And I said this before, yes, there are wars and rumors of wars, and there are terrors and terrorists that will always arise. There's always been that, and there will always be that. But the question is, who are you? Who are you in this covenant relationship with God? Who are you? What are you going to do with this newfound awareness? It's not something that's just mind candy, that you take it in and you memorize a scripture or two, and then you just go about your way and forget what manner of man you are, as James described in the book of James. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Why? Because he looks at himself and then he goes away and forget what he looks like. Looking into the law of liberty, the law of freedom, this law, the word, the truth that Jesus said we would know, and this truth would make us free. Free from being in bondage to what's going on in the world and be bound to the one who bonded himself inside of us into an agreement that said he would not leave the house. He would never forsake the house. He would not exit. Are you listening? Are you listening? Can you say yes, yes, and so be it? This one that made himself at home inside of us, the resident Father, the one who will love us and never leave us and never forsake us, this resident God who has chosen to live and abide on the inside of you today. You were so valuable that God said, I can't leave them outside of the garden, but I'm going to send a redeemer. I'm going to send someone to buy them back and to send someone who would reconcile, to bring them back. Bring us back to what? Bring us back to the awareness, to the consciousness that God lives inside of us. And he chose to do it. He chose to live inside of you. He's not measuring you by what you're doing. He's looking at you and said, I love you. Come inside the house where it's safe. That's what Psalms 91 is all about. That when we dwell in that secret place of the Most High God, woo, that means go inside of yourself, because that's where he lives. If you're looking up in the sky waiting for God to do something, you're looking too far away. That's why your promises have been far away. That's why the covenant, you're receiving the promises, it has been so far away. Your blessings, as you would say, have been so far away because you've been looking far away. But when you start looking inside, you will find that even before you ask, he's already done it. Even when you're thinking about it, your thoughts are prayers, by the way. Even when you're thinking about it, it has been manifested. You'll no longer be in this space or in this place where you're toiling all night and catching nothing. You'll no longer be subject to all of the chaos and confusion on the outside of yourself. You'll become a spectator and not a relator. You'll become someone who can bring light in the midst of the darkness. You will truly understand what it means to be the salt of the earth. You will truly know and realize that you are not your own, that you have been bought with a precious price. And you no longer spend your life chasing after things that don't matter, but you will find yourself living from within because of what God has done for you. Aren't you glad that you're not out here by yourself? That you're not struggling, trying to make life happen anymore? That you have tuned in to the great I am that's on the inside of you, so that when you say I am, you know what you're talking about, because I am is inside. And I am is reflected in our everyday waking, walking, talking lives, because as we think, so are we, because we're praying our thoughts. And some of you may think, well, Dr. Faye, I wish I could hear God. I wish I could hear God. Listen, when you think about it, do you hear those thoughts going through your head all the time, like they're going through your head right now? Those thoughts that are darting about like a squirrel. I think about the squirrel that I see darting from tree to tree in my backyard. Like, Jesus, a busy squirrel. But you're having these squirrely thoughts, and they're jumping all through your head from one direction to another, and it's not because you have dementia or Alzheimer's. It's just that you can hear those thoughts. And just as you have trained yourself to hear those thoughts, you can train yourself to be more aware and hear God's voice. Yeah. You can. You can. Train yourself to be still and know that he is God. He is God where? He is God within you. Whoa, I love that. 1 John 4:4 says, greater is he that is in us, in you, than he that is in the world. So everything that he that is in the world, what? He who? The he that you think you be. The he that you think you be. Greater is he who's in you than the he that you think you be that's outside of yourself. This body self, this glamorous self, that handsome self, all the selves that you think you are, he said, go inside the house, because that one inside is greater. Yeah, because that one inside is aligned with the one who created the worlds, who spoke the worlds into existence, who called the galaxies to bow, and they must. Greater is he. It's so sad that we start looking more up to people to deliver us than God to deliver us. I did that. I did that for years, for a long time, trying to find the right coach that would help me, trying to find the right person that would just do it for me, help me to see. But those people couldn't help me until I discovered that the only thing that everything that I've ever needed was always in the house. Not that there was anything wrong with those coaches as people, because I am a coach, and I certainly believe coaches should have coaches, and that people should have someone that can teach, train, mobilize them for the glory of God and not for greed or gain, but for substance, things that will make a difference in this world. It's not enough for people to flash their cars and their houses in front of you. That's not the ultimate of wealth. The ultimate of wealth is recognizing that the one who spoke the worlds into existence is resident on the inside of you. When you get to that thing, when you get to that awareness, when you understand that, then everything else will change. You will attract the right people in your life. You will no longer be stumbling over friends and relationships that promise allegiance and can't do it, can't perform, can't deliver. But you'll find yourself in a place where He is always delivering. Yeah. Because God is all there is, folks. And He is all that there shall ever be. He's the only constant in my life. He's the only constant in your life. He's the one that will be there in the midnight hour when you think you've lost everything. I promise you, you have not. If you'll just turn within, you will see that the thing that you have been seeking has been within you all along. I am still in coaching programs. I'll always be in a coaching program. Why? Because skill sets, having the right community to help build businesses so that I can mobilize and help people from a greater place and in a greater way. But I know not to rely upon that alone, because that's not the foundation. That's not the rock on which I stand. That's not my anchor. My anchor is in understanding that God dwells and lives on the inside of me. When you get to that place that you know that that's truly that's true enlightenment. It's true empowerment. It is the place where legacies are born. So when Matthew chapter 1 talked about the begets, he was talking legacy. This person beget, this person begets this person, until it came to the only begotten. Legacies changed. Because he knew that once you receive the awareness that Christ is in you, the hope of glory, it changes everything. You begin to move in a different frequency. You begin to see life through different lenses. You begin to operate from a higher plane of existence. And you're no longer down there at the bottom of the mountain making golden idols. Yeah, those people were making idols out of pure gold. You see, they weren't worried about money, obviously. They weren't worried about anything like that. You know what they were trying to do? They were trying to get to God. That's what some of you were trying to do. You're trying to make that money, get that money, rise and grind. It's not about rising and grinding for me. It's about rising and shining. Because when I rise and shine, the world changes around me. Everything that I need, and no rocks thrown at anybody for saying that. That's your thing, that's your thing. But I rise and shine, that the glory of the Lord can be upon me. Because I see so many people pulling their hair out, literally destroying their lives and zapping their bank accounts, trying to make more, trying to get more and do more. But darlings, let me tell you, it will wear you down until you get to the place that it's not about that anymore. It's about the greater glory. It's about God being God through you to change lives from the inside out. It's more than helping people make money, coaches. It's more than helping people get the next big client. It is about changing lives from the inside out. Because at the end of the journey, when it's all said and done, I promise you, and one author said this, and is a great speaker also, and I apologize, I don't remember the name, that said you will never see, I think it was Les Brown, you will never see hearses or maybe he quoted somebody else. Following, you will never see a U-Haul pulling, being pulled by a hearse. See, it's bad when I try to quote other people, quote myself and God. You never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul. Those things come when you understand who you are as a vessel that God has chosen to be God through. There's no way that you could ever lose. There is nothing that could ever stop you from succeeding in this world, because you're already a success. You already have within you the makings of a multi-billionaire. You already have in you the makings of one who walks in divine health. You already have it within you. Why? Because he is in you. Stop thinking that you're less. Stop weighing yourself and measuring yourself by someone else's standards. You have God within you. Look inside the house. There's no greater standard. You are the standard. You are the light. You are the salt of the earth. You're the one that God has chosen to live inside of, so that he can see life through your lenses and move through you and breathe through you and walk through you. He's ordering your steps today. So as we continue this journey in the covenant of God Unleashed, I want you to share it with somebody. Invite somebody to the party of change, where there's going to be a metamorphosis, where the caterpillar finally becomes the butterfly. It's a nasty thing. I shared this with the prayer group the other night. It's a nasty thing if you watch the caterpillar through metamorphosis. It's ugly. I'm a country girl, gone city, back to the country. But it's an ugly sight. But on the other side, everybody loves the butterfly. How beautiful. And you're waiting to see, what color will this butterfly be? You know it's an ugly thing, but pretty soon it's going to be a beautiful thing. Your life may be like that caterpillar going through that metamorphosis, where things can really look ugly because you tapped into who you really are, and your DNA is being activated, your God DNA. The Father's DNA is being activated inside of you, so that you're no longer scrambling and trying to make it work and hustling, trying to get your hustle on and turning, oh gosh, there's so much noise out here. But now you're just learning to be who you are. Where when the phone's not ringing and the books are not selling, or this is not happening, you know that it's greater than that. It's greater than that, because you're being prepared for your next assignment, your next level, because there's more in you that's waiting to be unveiled, because the covenant of God Unleashed requires you to receive. And as you receive who he is on the inside of your soul, inside of yourself, you'll discover how much more he wants you to do. And there's so much more of your becoming in order to do it, so that you can have it. Yes, yes, and yes. Oh, you can rise and grind and still get stuff, but he wants you to rise and shine and be. Yeah. And then Deuteronomy 28 becomes a living, breathing reality. The blessings of God will literally come upon you and overtake you. From the least to the greatest, you'll see things begin to unveil around you. Life begins to happen in a powerful way. It'll look like magic, but it's not. It's just mighty. Almighty. It's God being God through you. Thank you for tuning in again. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate your fellowship and relationship building. Feel free to give to our 501c. You can do that 501c3, you can do that by Cash App, cash tag DRFAYETV, or PayPal at paypal@drfaye.com. Go to a1church.org and get all the information right there, a1church.org, where you can receive all of the information, register for the upcoming streaming events right here on this network. So until next time, this is Dr. Faye. Remember, the calling is a gift, but ladies and gentlemen, the choice is yours. And I'll see you all next time.